The most common concept in almost any coming-of-age story is finding your passion. At such an important and tumultuous stage in anyone's life as they come of age, deciding on what to do with your life is understandably a topic that resonates with almost anyone who's been through their late teens. But I've personally never really felt touched by this kind of story in a way that hit home. Oftentimes because I feel like the genuine emotions and themes about life are often submerged, and end up taking a second place to other aspects of the story like entertainment or romance. The painstaking decisions of what to do with yourself, what to do with your life, because it isn't really all that entertaining, takes a back seat. What people love in a story is the way it romanticizes life, draws on strange circumstances to entertain. It's honestly what I thought I enjoyed most in a story as well. Never have I felt and resonated with the difficult decision to pursue passion above all, abandon the safe way out in exchange for a future that is shaky and far away. That is, until I read Blue Period. The beginning of your life essentially consists of a long list of set goals to reach. Pass high school entry exams, reach the drinking age, get to college. Even more so in Japan, a society where individualism in school is discouraged for the sake of furthering your education. That is, at least, how Yatora Yaguchi felt about life in his second year of high school. Despite being a delinquent, a euphemism for just a student with piercings who also smoked, Yaguchi is actually a great student in school. He passes all of his classes with flying colors and is essentially set for any kind of future he could potentially want to pursue in college. Among his options are a salaryman or a business worker. Good jobs, yes, but uninspiring ones. Because that is just about as far as Yaguchi's dreams extend. Even though he gets good grades, it's nothing more than him putting in a bit more time than other people. He spends his art classes sleeping and waiting around until the last few minutes because he knows he can get a good grade with the minimum effort. Going out with his friends, he feels what he believes is excitement, only for the night to end in the same way every single time, shrouded in the blue haze of Shibuya's morning dawn. Yaguchi's life is a life without passion. In a way, he is the ideal example of a byproduct of modern society. A young student so driven to get good grades and reach their next goal of getting into college that, once they look beyond that, they have no idea what actually keeps them going, what they're doing it all for. Getting better scores in exams or hanging out with friends are like grinding levels in an RPG. Yaguchi simply invests a bit more time than others and he gets better results. And because of this mindset that he has, Yaguchi is saddened by the idea of other people praising him, which happens more often than not, because he feels like he is no different from anyone else, and this also pains him. And then one day, he stumbles upon a painting in the art room. It, of course, does not instantly have some dramatically profound effect on him, but he's interested in its nuances. Why is one green? Is it a fairy? Was this done by another student? But his thought process is disturbed by the arrival of the rest of the art club, and he comes to his senses. There's no point in pursuing art. Art school is unnecessarily expensive, and it supports a career path that is flaky at best. And as Yaguchi confidently starts to leave with that mindset, knowing that he is right in his head, the art teacher offers one comment. I feel like you tried to appease your surroundings a bit too much, Yaguchi. Personally, I would like to know what you yourself value. Next art class, show me the scenery that you want to share with everyone else. He goes out drinking with his friends once again later that night, watching the soccer game as per usual. But something feels off. Yaguchi can't stop thinking about those words. Right now, why am I shouting so hard, celebrating someone else's success? These feelings aren't my own. Yaguchi has lived a life where he just says the things people want to hear, make their stories more interesting than his own for the sake of just getting by. As he once again begins a day anew in the blue morning light of Shibuya, he realizes that it's not just these feelings, but this life itself. None of it is his. Back at school, Yaguchi runs into the girl who made the angel painting he saw earlier, and as they briefly discuss the work and the effort the girl put into it, for some reason, Yaguchi begins talking about Shibuya. The silence, the blue of it all. How that completely empty morning in the midst of Tokyo's busiest center always feels like a moment for new beginnings. And the girl tells him something in response to this. Something that her old teacher told her once, long ago. If it looks blue to you, then anything can be blue, whether it's an apple or a rabbit. And suddenly, it all clicks. The sleepy atmosphere, the faintly blinding glow, that blue world. He realizes that this sight is the first that is uniquely his own, one that he wishes to express to the world. And the moment I love most in this first chapter of this manga, and arguably in the entire series itself, as he draws that scenery he wants to show the most, Yaguchi thinks, I didn't know it was so scary to declare that you like something. And after that painting gets put on display, people look at it the same way he saw the angel painting earlier, and they praise what he's done. Why didn't I start drawing sooner? Yaguchi ends the first chapter of this series with his first step towards his own future. For the first time, feeling like he's genuinely communicated with people. I feel like Blue Period, with only its first chapter, could be an entire story on its own. It fully encaptures the idea of not just discovering your passion, but embracing it and putting it on display for others to see. The reason I love that one line so much, that it's scary to declare that you like something, is because it truly is. Now this might get personal for a moment, but I believe this is an important character backstory for myself on why I love this story so much. In many ways, I was and still am similar to Yaguchi. I was a good student in high school, and even though it came more naturally to me than Yaguchi, I didn't really have to put in that much work. It felt very similar in that there was no real drive except to reach my next benchmark. College, exams, whatever they might have been. And aside from school, my only real passion was anime. I enjoyed occasional time with friends, going on trips, but at the end of the day, the only path I pursued fully of my own accord was watching anime. But I would say, unlike nowadays in the modern day, only mere years ago, anime was not only far less mainstream than it is now, but it was also far more scrutinized. If you declared you like anime to the world, you either didn't care what people thought about you, or you were pretty stupid. But just like how Yaguchi had that painting of Blue Shibuya, I had my breakthrough moment with this channel, with ACC. Making my very first video felt liberating, being able to put my thoughts out there, communicate with people who I never would have been able to without it. It frankly changed my life. There is so much of myself that I see in Yaguchi in his pursuit of creative and artistic passion that colors what was previously a blank palette of a life. And I believe that is central to my love and appreciation for this manga. But to return to the manga itself, after the first chapter, Yaguchi is understandably faced with a crisis, whether he can really devote his all to art. He's already in his second year of high school, being faced with the decision of having to choose his college that he's going to apply to. On top of that, the entrance exams for art universities are incredibly rigorous and selective, making the odds that a complete beginner getting in, no matter how passionate they are, slim to none. Thoughts reappear in his head. Isn't drawing for a hobby enough? I can draw even if I don't go to art school. Why should I take it seriously? If he continues down this risky path, he sacrifices this position he's cemented academically at the top of the social ladder. He's going to have to start everything over once again with no checkpoints along the way. Taking that leap, isn't it scary? But teacher to the rescue, she once again offers new words of advice for Yaguchi. Upon asking her whether drawing for just a hobby is enough, expressing what he's thinking, she tells him that kids who can't work hard are those that don't have any passion. After all, it is only natural to invest your life on things that you are most passionate about. Again, only 2 chapters into this manga, I truly feel the words behind it. Even now, YouTube isn't my only pursuit. I still go to school because at this point in my life, I can't and wouldn't bring myself to devote fully to my creative pursuits. I'm not even as brave as Yaguchi. It's terrifying to declare you like something and then continue on to devote yourself to it entirely. Blue Period embraces a topic that is equally inspiring and horrifying. And I think my favorite moment of this manga encompasses this perfectly. It isn't some grand achievement or win for Yaguchi, a breakthrough in his art, not at all. My favorite moment is only in chapter 5, when he tells his mom that he wants to pursue art. As I was mentioning earlier, Yaguchi is a product of modern society. Passions are a hobby and a side project to pure academics, and his mom is an example of that ideal. Despite his dad's encouraging words to pursue his dream, Yaguchi's mom remains on the fence. She spent her entire life raising her son, pushing him to do better, and the possibility of throwing that all away for possibly a pipe dream is understandably something that even I as a parent wouldn't encourage so lightly. And when she asked him why he wanted to do this, Yaguchi couldn't think of a reason. Perfectly befitting of his enjoyment of art, words weren't enough to describe how he felt, so he drew a picture of his mom for her. And in his time watching his mom making that picture, he saw how her hands were rough from always washing their dishes, how her forearms had muscle from lifting heavy groceries daily, how food rotates between the same dishes every day, but every time, she always eats the worst parts of the meat. As he drew and observed his mother, he realized how everything she ever did was for the well-being of their family, something he never would have noticed if he stayed the same, mindlessly droning on in school in pursuit of his next benchmark. Even if he didn't have any talent at all he needed was her support. I think that this is such a beautiful moment of self-recognition for Yaguchi and for anyone in pursuit of their dreams. Even if Yaguchi isn't good at it, even if he's not the best, it's what he loves. As a YouTuber, there are millions upon millions of channels that I can watch who have more subscribers, or better editing, or better scripts. It is impossible not to compare myself to others who might be growing faster. And I think what Blue Period taught me is that doesn't matter. What matters is your enjoyment, your life, and the hope that other people can see what you value in it. One of the most discouraging things that someone can experience in life is doing something they love to the best of their abilities, but still not being good at it. Constantly looking at others only to realize how much your abilities pale in comparison. It makes it feel like your efforts aren't worth it at all, and that is one of the scariest things you can encounter on a one-way road where you only have yourself to fall back on. That's why Yaguchi needed his mother's support. And I think that this idea of embracing that you are just normal is one of the greatest parts of Blue Period. Fast forward a bit and Yaguchi enters art cram school to prepare himself for art university entrance exams. It's his first time working on art outside of his school's small and rather unnoticed art club, but even though he feels slightly intimidated, more than anything, he's excited. He draws the sculpture that they're supposed to, but once they finish and the class compare, the drawing that Yaguchi initially felt somewhat proud of soon gets overshadowed by the work surrounding him. A silent cry lashed out from within him. Most notably, the work of Takahashi next to him is perfect. The shapes, the shadows, the balance. It makes Yaguchi realize the difference between genius and hard work. It's always something he accepted about himself from the start of the story. It's a continuous thought he always has that he was just simply working harder than everyone else, but never has it felt more clear than now that he's just a normal human. I'm sure that everyone at some point in their life has felt this way when seeing the achievements of someone else, feeling like it's unachievable. But once again, in the catalog of quotes offered to Yaguchi for advice, this time from a friend of his, he says, "If you're upset, then that means you're willing to fight." Yaguchi's fight has only just begun. Of course he'd be intimidated, but why should he let someone else's achievements stop him? I just think that the story of Blue Period is so incredibly profound in its subtlety. Nothing feels too extraordinary, too romanticized, or too unrealistic for the sake of making a more interesting tale. It's rooted in the real and challenging pursuit of your passions. Every piece of art we see in the story is drawn by a real artist that the mangaka wanted to include in the manga. She gives credit to each of them in each chapter, so you can tell how grounded this story is in what is ultimately just love for art. We also learn about the challenges of going to college and the way that academic success has been put on such a high pedestal that for some reason, just doing what you enjoy is made to feel wrong, like you're betraying society by following your dreams. That is the notion that Blue Period challenges in its story. And it's one that is incredibly touching, especially to a YouTuber like myself. I feel like at one point or another within the last year, I have felt just about everything Yaguchi has felt as well in this story. Feeling afraid to declare what you like. Dedicating your all to a craft that might have no fruitful end in sight. Seeing yourself as just normal or less than others among a group of incredibly talented artists. For anyone who has passions that they aren't able to express or pursue of their own accord for whatever reason, self-imposed or because of rules outside of your control, Blue Period is the manga for you. If you've let that opportunity to change your future pass you, then perhaps Blue Period can remind you of that excitement you once felt, and you can live vicariously through Yaguchi and his journey through the intimidating world of art. If you're too young to be at that point, maybe this story can inspire you to make sure that whatever you do from now on is for the purpose of living the life you want to have, so you don't start late like Yaguchi. And if you feel like you are there now, at that crossroads where you must decide what you want to do with your future like myself, I believe that Blue Period can inspire you to make the choice that you want. After all, to once again draw on the quotes from this series, it's only natural to invest your life on the thing you are most passionate about. As always, this has been the Anime Culture Corner. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future in-depth show, manga, and character analyses.